Hi there, welcome to this video. I'm going to go out in the back garden to do some bird photography. So I don't normally start my videos here in the kitchen, but there are a few good reasons why I'm doing it. Now, over the last few weeks, I've been undertaking a project to try and video and photograph a kingfisher down at my kingfisher hide because it has been sighted again. But despite spending 9 hours in the hide, I still haven't got a really good photograph of the kingfisher. I've seen a few sightings, but they've been very fleeting and I've not really got anything to put into a video as yet. So I needed a video idea for this week, and I've noticed from my kitchen window, because I get a good view of my hide just here and all of the feeders that are through there, that a flock of siskins have been coming and visiting my feeders. Now, I do keep a pair of binoculars handy just so I can identify anything that's unusual out on the feeders, and I noticed these siskins appearing, so I just had to take a photograph of them and make the effort to get out there. So over the last few days I've sat in the hide and I've got some really nice photographs that I'm going to talk you through today. Now, normally I would start this outside, but the weather's a little bit unpleasant, so I'm starting it in the kitchen. So we're going to go over to the hide. Come along with me and I'll talk you through all of the photographs I've got over the last few days. The first thing that I did before I started taking photographs was change the way that my perches are set up, because I really wanted to make the most of these siskins that are visiting the garden, because they haven't visited for over 10 years and I've never taken a photograph in my garden for my YouTube channel. So I really wanted to make the most of these visitors because they're a beautiful bird. They're very bright yellow in colour, and I don't keep the perches the same for very long because it just makes the photographs all seem very similar. And what I've done is I've set up my perches so I can change them very quickly because most of them are attached with Velcro. Now, I'm not going to spend lots of time talking about how I set up my perches now because I've got loads of videos on the channel. I'll put links down below in the description and I'll link one just up here. But I've changed the perches so I make the photographs a little bit different from anything that I've got before, and then I got into the hide. Where I live, we're really lucky because I've got quite a big paddock behind the house, and so we get quite a lot of birds in the hedges around the property, and we're right on the edge of farmland as well, so that really helps. So not everybody is quite as fortunate as I am, I acknowledge that, but I like to make the most of it, which is why I've set up this hide here in a garden shed. And I just love coming out here for an hour or two, just looking at the birds and photographing them. It's a really relaxing way of spending a few hours, and I can get lost in the moment and just thinking of different ways to set up perches and just trying different techniques. And if the sun is out, trying to take photographs of birds in flight. It's just really a great way of spending some time. Now, over the last few days, we've had lots of interesting visitors here to the hide that I'll show you here in this video. But usually the first visitors that appear on the feeders are blue tits. Now, these are very common, but it doesn't stop them from being really lovely to photograph. They're very brave birds. Now, usually what happens when you go and put food in the feeders and then come into the hide, it takes a minute or two for the fear level just to go down before the birds feel brave enough to appear again. But usually the blue tits are the first ones there. And then we've had a good array of other common garden birds such as robins, great tits, blackbirds and chaffinches. But what I have found is the bird detection on the Z8 that has just been introduced with the new firmware update is really phenomenal, because you get so many more shots because you just point the camera at the bird and it picks up the eye straight away, so you can concentrate on the composition of the shot rather than moving the focus point round so it's over the bird's eye, and it just makes the whole process of taking photographs of birds so much more enjoyable. It takes all of the effort out of it, which in a way I suppose is cheating, but that is the purpose of technology, just to help you get the best photographs that you can. And the bird detection now in the Z8 just really makes it so pleasurable. When I'm taking photographs here in the hide, it's always much more preferable to have the birds on one of the perches so that the photographs look more natural. I very rarely take photographs of the birds on the feeders. The only time I do take photographs of birds on the feeders is if it's a very unusual bird and I want to take a record just in case I don't get chance to take its photograph when it's on a perch. I have had a visit from a couple of coal tits over the last few days. I've seen them on the feeders and they very rarely go to the perches, but at one point they did land on the perch and I did manage to get this shot. As I mentioned earlier, we're on the edge of countryside and we get quite a lot of pheasants in the back garden, and yesterday we had 3 visit. They come looking for the spilt corn that's underneath the feeders, and they're fairly brave as well, but to have 3 at one point was quite a treat as well. Just at the moment we've seen a baby rabbit hopping around the paddock. Now we've not seen its parents and we don't normally get rabbits here in the paddock, but this baby rabbit has been about quite frequently over the last few weeks and it came and paid a visit, and so I managed to get some video of that and some photographs as well, and it's so cute and you can't help but feeling really warm and fuzzy when you see it. As you will have seen from the thumbnail, I did get a visit from a sparrowhawk. Now, sparrowhawks in some areas have been in decline, and that's due to poisoning from pesticides and from persecution, but in other areas their recovery has been complete, and they soar and hunt over woodland and farmland, and they even are bold enough, as I can contest, to hunt in back gardens. Now when this happens, it obviously scares the other birds off because the fear level goes up, and you can almost feel within the bird community that the bird song just disappears, and they don't come back for a good 10 or 15 minutes before they feel it's safe again to appear. So from my point of view, from taking photographs, unless I get a shot of the sparrowhawk, which is actually very rare that they perch, they normally just swoop in and then are gone again, it scares the birds off, and so it's quite frustrating because they stop the birds from appearing for quite a while. But this occasion it did manage to land on one of the perches, and I very quickly, thanks to the bird recognition on the Z8, managed to get a quick picture. My main goal though was to try and take some really good photographs of the siskins. On the first day they didn't really land on the perches or pose very well when they did, and so I added a second day of shooting just to try and get the photographs of the siskins that I wanted, and on the second day they performed so much better. I saw more of them. On the first day I only saw 2 individuals, but on the second day I saw 6, and so that meant that they were competing more for the feeders and then hopping over onto the perches while they were waiting for positions at the feeder. And that is ideal for taking photographs because you can photograph on the perches nearest to the feeder, and that means you can just take your time and photograph the birds in position when they're on the perches. Siskins are tree feeders particularly associated with conifers, but they will also feed in birch and alder trees in the winter. It typically visits gardens to eat peanuts and sunflower seeds, but I have actually seen it visiting my Niger seed feeder as well. In winter it associates in flocks which share a bounding tight pack sociability with the redpoll, and males sometimes separate out from flocks in spring to sing from the treetops. When feeding, these tiny finches are acrobatic, almost tit-like in their actions. It's been great to get some really nice photographs of the siskins and other birds as well. So what I'll do now is I'll leave you with some of my favourite photographs from the last few days. If you've enjoyed this video and seeing photographs of my back garden birds here, then you can go and check out lots of videos on my channel where I talk about setting up this hide and the perches as well. But if you're not fortunate enough to have the space to do that, you don't even need a hide like this, because I've also got a video where I take photographs from my back kitchen window. I set up a perch outside and I've taken photographs through the glass, so I'll put a link for that as well down below in the description. I hope you've enjoyed that video, and if you have, let me know down below in the comments, or nip over to my Instagram or Vero account, that's at Darrell Oakden Photography. Leave me your comments there, and you can also see lots of my videos. Now, if you like what I do on the channel and want to help support me to make future content like this, then you can leave the gift shop, that's at Teespring. There I've got a range of merchandise on offer, so head off over there because a purchase really does help me out and it's very much appreciated. But you don't have to spend any money at all to support the channel. You can do that simply by clicking like, subscribe and the bell notifications. It really helps me out and it makes sure that you don't miss out on any future content. Watch out for next week's video, that goes live on Sunday. In the meantime, you can go and check out this video just up here. But all that's left now is for me to get out of this rain before I get any wetter and to say stay safe, and I'll see you soon.